Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to EA Boardroom meeting number 666. I'm joined by my colleague Sam, who's going to be explaining to us why it was that Anthem didn't meet our expectations.
Hello everyone, thank you so much for joining me today. Now, Anthem, the reason why it didn't go so well is because it was released as one big steaming pile of shit. What we should have done is released it as droplets of shit, okay? Smaller pieces of shit. I believe if we do that, we're going to get better results. So everyone, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the new EA logo. It's shit.
EA Games.
That is one big pile of shit.
You're right.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. We're here talking about our favorite game of 2019, Anthem.
Yeah, we've had some good news actually recently, people. We had the Randy Pitchford thing. We got
Great
the
story.
Sonic stuff, okay?
Great
Now we're
story.
going back to Anthem, oldie but a goodie.
Yes, we're always pleased when we get the chance to revisit this title, Anthem.
Yes.
Now, you might remember that Anthem's had a few problems on release.
Am I not pretty enough? Is
EA.
too broken? Do I
Take my money.
too much? Am I too?
Twisted and evil.
Why do you see right through me?
You might consider it a complete meme. You might say it's the worst EA release of all time.
I mean, it's up there. There's
It's
a
up
few
there.
there. There's a few there.
It didn't cause a global loot box legislation
Catastrophe.
backlash like Star Wars Battlefront 2 did, but it certainly was a giant meme, right?
Definitely.
And just for anyone that doesn't know, the three of you who are living under a rock, who thankfully have not seen or played Anthem, like I really wish I was one of you. Anthem was the massive in scope, but tiny in execution.
Sure.
Looter shooter released by BioWare, 7 years in development to make like a Destiny killer. You're basically Iron Man, but flying around a forest.
Yeah.
And there's nothing to do.
Nothing to do,
and
people.
no story that's interesting, and everything's broken.
What
right?
happened really, EA, Bethesda was sitting at a bar. Bethesda
right.
took the worst company in America, probably, and EA's like, hold my beer. I'm coming back with
Exactly right.
Anthem, okay?
So that obviously has led to a huge amount of back and forth with the community right now. They're deeply unsatisfied with the game. There was a thread on Reddit actually the other week with like 7,000 upvotes that's basically just titled, "Can we just agree this game is dead?" You know what I mean? That was the Anthem subreddit, by the way. So obviously there's a lot of problems. At the same time, obviously, they just keep making their dollars, right? And they need to report on those dollars in their earnings call. They just had one of those recently, giving us a rare chance to hear from our patron saint, Andy Wilson.
Yes,
right?
definitely. Our snakish friend.
He is.
He's
He is.
Aussie too, actually. He's representing the Aussies.
And so once players started to see that, they started to recognise that we were serious about this. And we've made a series of decisions like that over the past 4 years in service of our player, And, you know, the funny thing is you look after them and they look after you.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
So Andy comes in, he's the CEO of EA, and he needs to explain why it is that certain things fuck up.
Yeah.
And he had a very interesting explanation for why it was that Anthem fucked up. Now, at no point does he say, "Oh yeah, the game was shit," right?
Yeah, nothing about the bad game, everybody,
No.
okay? It's about the release. It's all about how you drop it onto the actual scene.
Yes, okay.
Like a big pile of shit getting dropped.
So, hey, nice reference. We should make our opening about that.
I reckon we should too.
So talking about some of the difficulties that these live services games face, this is what Andy Wilson said. The reality is it's not just an EA challenge, it's an industry-wide challenge, referencing the difficulties of creating and operating large-scale open-world games like Anthem. You're moving from what was initially a BioWare game, which would be somewhere between 40 and 80 hours of offline play, to 40 to 80 hours of offline play plus 100 or 200, 300 hours of Elder Game that happens with millions of players at scale online. Now,
I've never heard Elder Game.
can we
Who the
just
hell calls it fucking
stop
Elder
this
Game?
Elder Game. This is something that BioWare tried to make it. They didn't want to call it an Endgame. It's the Elder Game. No, fuck off.
It's the shittest way of talking about it.
Okay, they can keep that term if they agree that
Yeah,
the Elder
sure.
Game means that there's nothing in it. Okay,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
That it's-
yeah.
There's nothing to do. That's all your term, okay? Elder like an old man.
God, that's
Dead.
terrible.
So what he's essentially acknowledging here is that, like, Anthem obviously sucked, and it still sucks. And what he's essentially saying is that it's hard to make these live service games, right?
yeah.
Because you're trying to build something that's going to give people hundreds of hours of play, and that's it. Now,
It is. I was going to say, I'm going to jump in here. It is hard though. Like, it's a proven track record that most, if not all, live service games when they come out, they're kind of a meme at the beginning, you know. And I think this is the first time that they've come along and tried to do a live service, and it's been a bit of a shock to them for sure.
Definitely.
So I think they've definitely either looked at this and thought one of two things. There's not a lot of money in this, you know, like, this is a lot harder than we expected in terms of getting money out of this, and also just like getting the consumer to really be on board with this.
Yes.
You know?
So Andy goes on to talk about the fact that, you know, the way that they're releasing games right now is about like drop this giant thing onto the consumer after, you know, spending all this money on hype and marketing and whatever else, basically just actively deceiving them essentially. Just like lying to the consumer is the bedrock foundation of most live service marketing games.
Yeah,
okay?
games, man. Like, that's what they do.
So what he's basically saying is that you see in other countries, particularly in Asia, where they do soft launches of their games. So you might release a game to a select group of people 18 months early to test it out and start to develop ideas and get things going, and then you can scale it up over time before its official release. This is what he said about that specifically. As games have gotten bigger, that system isn't working as well as it has done years gone by. So what you should expect from us is that it's not just about changing the development process in the game, it's not just about changing the QA process in the game, although both of these things are being changed dramatically inside our organization right now, but it also comes down to changing how we launch games, Wilson said.
Yeah, I think that, you know, if you look at the way that they're currently doing it, it's very similar to like, you know, music or movies. You know, trailer, hype, don't really understand fully what to expect. Boom, here it is, guys, here's the release, right?
Yeah.
It might work for music and movies, but when it comes to gaming, it's, yeah, I mean, gaming now is a lot different, I think, from the 90s, people. People are expecting a lot more. There's a lot more discussion in the audiences, a lot more like hype and rage, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. And I think this is actually a much better approach. The idea of giving it to a smaller community and then let it slowly develop over time and they understand what people want. And then maybe after a year or two, like Overwatch did, for instance, they can actually deliver a product that they're not so tone deaf about.
Come on then. Come on then. Push. Very good.
God.
Push. There you are. There you are.
What species is this?
It's a EA.
I particularly like the part where he mentions they're going to change their QA radically, which I assume means they're going to actually add some QA, which would be really nice, because clearly Anthem, no one ever quality tested Anthem. That just never happened.
Yeah, when it went gold, they're like, has anyone played this yet? Oh, I was going to. I haven't got a chance yet. Fuck it. Let's just fucking launch it.
Yeah, man, I played it for 5 minutes. It's fucking boring, eh? Shut up.
Shut up.
And he goes on to say, you should expect that we'll start to test things like soft launches, the same things that you see now in the mobile space, and it also comes down to changing how we communicate with players. Our entire marketing organization now is moving out of presentation mode, lying mode, and going into conversation mode, and changing how we interact with players over time.
Look, I think
how would a conversation with EA go, Sam?
I reckon it would be something along the lines of, why are we so shit, everybody?
And then consumers would be like, I don't know, man. Why are you so shit?
How do we continue to be shit? Well, continue what you're doing, EA. Good. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. No, but I think this whole idea of going from presentation to conversation, it sounds like a lot of corporate shit that really won't take... I don't know if it'll actually take place, because the bedrock of a lot of games is based around this whole hype thing, you know? So it's going to be... Look, I do think that if they can do something like give it to smaller communities and then listen to them and then develop off that, that's great. But it's going to be such a dramatic difference to how they've been doing things.
Yeah, I think,
you know?
well, yes and no. And I think this is where we can start to get into the discussion about this.
Just sussing, everybody.
This is how things have already been going for the last like 5 or 6 years when it comes to these live service games. It's just these companies have not admitted it. We've always been beta testing these fucking live service garbage games when they release, like Destiny 1, for example, which was hot garbage at launch for many reasons. Division, oh my god. Like, you know, Anthem, my god, Fallout 76, all these games launch completely broken, and it takes a long time for them to get good. Destiny eventually got good. The Division eventually got good. Destiny 2 eventually got good.
Fallout
right?
76 eventually never got good. Okay?
Correct. So you've got this situation where this is already happening, and now it seems like what they're saying is, look, we're going to just call it that. We're going to put a label on it. The indie scene has been doing early access sort of development for a long time now, and we're really comfortable with that in the indie scene because, like, they're small developers, they're small teams, they're working on stuff. It's okay. Like, we don't mind doing that. But what I think Andrew Wilson is essentially asking us to do now is to become official QA testers for large-scale AAA games in development.
Yeah.
And I'm actually okay with that, so long as they don't charge me for it.
Okay.
And I think that's where the big ideological difference will come in.
I think there's going to be some people out there that can see the point that if they're going to give a game that's 60 to 70% done, it does need the additional 30% of tweaks and understanding what needs to be implemented. You know, if EA or any company for that matter was to be like, hey, instead of charging you $80, we're just going to charge you $5 to $10 to jump on board on this journey and you're going to experience this game, I can understand why that would be quite reasonable because you are getting still a product that is kind of getting to the end of its, you know, getting to a quality stage.
Look, at the end of the day, they're asking us to be unpaid QA testers. Now, I'm somewhat okay with that if I believe in the vision of a game and it's going to appeal to me in the long term, but I do not agree with the idea that they should charge me for that, and we all know EA is going to charge us for this. Like, there's no way EA is going to be like, guys, we're going to release you a free game. But I'll remind you, Blizzard did do this with Overwatch, and I believe that Overwatch was actually the greatest beta testing process in the history of video games, because it really was beta tested for a good 18 months, I believe, before it was released, and it released in a beautifully polished and balanced state. That game went on to win Game of the Year and just sell an absolute buttload. It just took over gaming for an entire year because of all the pre-work they did. Now, if you're going to do something like that in the future with these live service games, I'm on board with that. But again, Overwatch didn't charge you for that beta testing period. I don't believe that EA should be charging us for this either.
Look, I don't love EA, guys, okay? This isn't about EA.
Are you sure, Sam?
maybe I'm an EA sympathizer. No, but I think personally, I can see the point if they're going to release a pretty, complete product, but they do need 6-8 months of just making sure that the tweaks are right, and they ask for like a measly $5 or something. I get that, because if you're getting 30-40 hours of gameplay that is pretty complete, okay, cool. If you're asking for $80 like they're doing right now, completely different story. But I think when you are, giving a product for $5, cool, I'm happy to jump on and experience that personally.
Either way, it does mark a big shift in the way that EA and large-scale publishers will talk about these live service games. Because now that EA have fronted up and said, hey, this model isn't working, it's likely that other developers will be saying the same stuff. And they'll be like, guys, we need to figure out some new solutions to this. It's going to be interesting to see whether or not any of this is true as well. Like, it's EA we're talking about here. I don't personally believe most of what they say. Who knows? Look, it could absolutely result in better stuff, or it could just be all nonsense. We've got no idea.
I think it's very much pushed by the fact that they want to make sure that they're making some money, people. And I think Apex Legends was a perfect example of... I don't think it'll be exactly like Apex Legends, of course, but I think that, releasing a product with no marketing and all that kind of stuff and just throwing it onto the consumer with no expectations, I think really served them here. So I think what they're trying to do here is maybe emulate that, like create a product with no expectations and let people just like build it from the ground up of what they think. That's what it, if it makes more money for them, I think we will probably see this as a change. But will it actually help EA in the long run? Man, they keep winning, Hated Company of America. I don't actually know if EA is really going to build goodwill with the consumer doing this, but who knows? They might. They might actually get on the good side of people. They'll never get on the good side of Laymen, because we need views, everybody.
If EA start releasing more broken games more regularly, we're okay with that.
We're okay with that.
That's a good news story for the Laymen channel. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the news for today. We will keep you updated on more broken EA game news as it unfolds.
Great. Ralph, that was cringy.